PJ, and yes, I'm in the car, and yes, my hair is big today, and yes, I like big hair. Do you like? I like big hair, and I cannot lie. I wanted to talk to you about Mercury retrograde, what was it, Jupiter retrograde, and Uranus retrograde. Oh my God, you just jumped all over the place. Okay, so Mercury and Jupiter has stationed. Means they stopped in their tracks, right? So they don't really stop. I mean, it's just such an odd premise because people are like, well, retrograde, that's going backwards, but you're not really going backwards. It's just the numbers, the degrees of where the planet is going backwards. Anyway, so we finally came out of Mercury and Jupiter and right into Uranus retrograde. And Uranus retrograde is a little different than a lot of the other planets. First off, Uranus is cutting. It's very cutting. It'll cut things away from you. There's two planets, right? There's two planets. There's two ways to describe a planet. One is benefic, and one is malefic. And a malefic planet means it's going to give you your comeuppance. It's going to make sure that you understand the message, even if it has to shove it down your throat. When people like Saturn is a malefic planet, right? It's tough. It's a tough planet on people. It's the bones. Oh God. It's the bones. You know I don't look, right? I just like go. It's the bones in your body, okay? Like, I don't know if that made it any better or worse. Anyway, and it's the bones in our body. Like literally without Saturn, we would float off into space. We would be all thought and no concrete decisions or applications of anything. Do you understand? Okay, so they're harder. Malefic planets are harder to get through. They aren't benefic, obviously. Malefic, that almost sounds like malignant. Benefic almost sounds like beneficial. Or beneficial? Is that a word? Beneficial. Now I can't even say things right. Do you ever do that? It's like saying a word too many times and you're like, is that right? Is that right? Anyway, isn't beneficial like something you eat? Like a cookie or some bullshit? I don't know. Anyway, so, malefic, benefic. So, Uranus is a malefic planet, okay? So, with Uranus, things get cut away. A lot of times, if you have like a nasty aspect in your chart to Uranus, or it sits somewhere funny, or during a retrograde it's going to get hit funny, then you have to kind of worry that shit gets sheared away from you. So I'll give you an example. My friend had Uranus in her 4th house, which is like home life, motherhood, memories, all that. So she was, the first thing that happened in her life when she was born was her mother gave her up for adoption. And her mother was like a golf pro. It's a really crazy story, but I can't get into that story because it's not mine to tell. But oh my God, what a story. What a weird story. But anyway, so that was her real mother. Gave her up for adoption. Then her adopted mother 7 years later got ovarian cancer and passed away. So now again, mothers are being cut from her. 4th house, Uranus in the 4th, right? So then she wants to get pregnant. So she's having a hard time. So we find the number and call the birth mom to see if there's anything in her background, maybe something that might be helpful. Because that was like back in the day before there was like DNA testing and stuff, So we call this woman who rejects her instant, like so nasty, can't tell you, just not a nice day. Then, so she gives up on that. She ends up getting pregnant like 4 times, every single one miscarriage, down to her having to give birth to her daughter that had passed in the womb at like 7.5, 8 months pregnant. Like, that's how sad. And she never had children. Uranus cuts away. It's cutting, you know, very quick. You think everything's okay, it's not, you know. So you have to be careful with Uranus. And it's retrograde now until January 20th. Now, it might not sit in your 4th house of home life, motherhood, blah, blah, blah. For instance, it sits in my lovely 6th house of health, which sucks. But if you look at what I'm dealing with, I got sick. We're not really sure what it was, but hey, it's coming on the other side. My two dogs have gone through hell. It also, by the way, 6th house also rules small animals. Isn't that weird? So it's exactly what it should be. Retrograde means you're not safe unless you're redoing stuff, redoing everything. So that's what it is. That's what it is in any retrograde planet. It doesn't matter which one. It's just that a retrograde planet, you are only safe doing things that begin with RE. Let's talk about what Uranus like represents. So first thing it represents is like your friends, groups, associations. Okay, so all of your people to the side of you. You know, Uranus rules Aquarius, and Aquarians have a hard time necessarily being in love with like one person, but they can be in love with a cause or a group of people, or like it's like that energy. I have a lot of Aquarius in me as well. A lot of my planets sit in Aquarius. I'm Aries Aquarius, if you were going to give me two. Anyway, so Uranus rules electricity, the future, like our future trends, like any IT, technology, computers, the internet, the universe. That's all Uranus, because it's all the same thing. It's all the 0-1 kind of along those lines, because the internet and the universe, the only ones, there's 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, you know that? Anyway, so you probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but anyway, so Uranus, if you want to look up where Uranus sits in your chart, just do your natal chart. As long as you have your time, and you can put in your time. There's so many free places on the internet where you can pull it up. But as long as you have your time and you know what your rising is, it'll show you where Uranus sits in your chart. And then just look up what does that house mean. And be careful with that. And to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So if I was going to have a negative aspect to Uranus, like, because it's the bizarre, it's the unusual, it's the unique, okay? It's like, anyway, what I would do to use that energy is maybe wear my hair different, or like do some bizarre things. Since it sits in my 6th house of health, it's probably a good time to try like cupping or let me try some crazy, I don't want to say crazy, some future trend of a medical, like, holistic thing, because it rules all holistic medicine. It rules anything, it rules astrology. It rules everything forward thinking, like not higher mind like Jupiter. Jupiter's higher mind, like learning, journeying, seeing new places. This is more like things you imagine, like before there were cell phones, that came from Uranus. Do you see what I mean? It's really like a fun place to be because it brings you into surprises all the time. Everything's a surprise, but you don't always want surprises. All right, this is going to sound awful, so I'm going to turn it off until we're off this road. Hold on. Back on level ground. They're grading the ground, and it's just like, roar. Anyway, okay, so it rules the bizarre, the unique, but it's also a farther out planet. So farther out planets tend to be more generational, okay, because it takes them so long to get through anything. It's not just one person that feels it, or like these people feel it. It's like everybody feels it on some level, and that's what this is. So it's more futuristic in the way of trends. That doesn't mean it can't hit you individually. It can. But trends are more what you're going to look for right now. So, like, if a future trend is something like left field, like everybody decided to wear, prairie clothing or something, that would be Uranus just doing something bizarre. Do you know what I mean? Because it's bizarre. It's unique, bizarre. It's also growth. See, the thing about Uranus is because it rules the future, it's always pointing in a certain direction. Like, it might not be like what it's bringing with it isn't necessarily what you would think is future, but it's that trend, whatever the trend is now, right? That's Uranus brought that in, and it's always thinking ahead. Many Aquariuses think ahead of their time. They're always like cutting edge of what's going on. So the breakthroughs in all kinds of things can happen very out of the blue. Like one day you're like, oh no, and then the next day you're like, cure for cancer. It's just out of the blue. It can be good, it can be bad, but remember, there's always a lesson. It's a malefic planet, and there's nothing you can do about it. There is always a lesson. So, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Now you are armed with this. Make sure you do something unusual, bizarre, any day that you feel unsettled, because it is a very unsettling planet. Stay away from electricity. It rules electricity. Did I tell you it rules electricity? It rules electricity. You can zap yourself into tomorrow if you don't watch out. Because, like, all my light bulbs went out already. All my light bulbs went out. Like, boom, out. I'm like, what? So I had to have my son come over because some of them are too high for me. And it's like, what? So, anyway, we have until January 20th, 2020. This January to get out of this. And during it, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bizarre things that happen. A lot of future trends will show themselves. It'll be the ones that are safest, the ones we already did. So it's a revisiting. Like that. I hope you understand it. I hope you see what I mean. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. And if you'd like to follow me down the rabbit hole that is my crazy life, hit the button down below and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you like these horoscope kind of videos. A thumbs down if you don't. Either way, you're watching me. Manifest something lovely in your life. If you know it, think, believe it, you can have it too. Like a better time for the next couple months under Uranus, because you ain't gonna do it. You ain't gonna do it. You're gonna see a future trend and take it. You're not gonna fight it. You're not gonna not realize what it is. Like, that's the biggest thing for me, is like when Mercury's retrograde, like if I didn't know that, I'd be like, what is going on, But because I know when Mercury goes retrograde, I'm like, okay, well, let me redo this email 6 more times because it never went through. Or whatever it is, right? So that's like where you are in this. Like, you just have to be forewarned, forearmed. Make sure you do something out of your comfort zone, something unique to use up that energy, because that's how it works. Energy comes down on us. We either use it or it uses us. And usually when it uses us, we're not happy. We're not wanting it. So you use it up. I'm going to start something new, something crazy, something nutty. I'll probably videotape it and you'll see how weird I